there, and thanks so much for supporting our 10th anniversary celebration. As you probably know, all of our in-person events have actually been canceled this year, so we thought, what a better way to celebrate than to bring our mission into your homes. So thank you again for being a part of this. In the last 10 years, Foothills Animal Shelter has helped over 98,000 animals. And your support today has helped us keep our lights on, our kennels warm, and our community pets safe. Thank you. So what are you waiting for? Go have fun with your delivery.
Hello, you good humans. I'm so excited to be with you today, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of Foothill Animal Shelter's 10th anniversary. Because of you, we're getting to do some pretty magical and creative things, and I'm so excited to paint with you today. My name is Heather Abreu, and I have been in arts education for over 15 years. I've been painting on weekends and enjoying time with my kids, and now I'm hoping you get to do the same thing with you and your fur babies and those that you love to paint with. Today I wanted to let you know all about what we're going to do. First, I wanted to introduce you to our supplies. If you look behind me, I've got our canvas all set up, and on the canvas you'll notice something. I did something especially for you. If you're painting mountains with me today, which I hope you are, but if you're not, all creativity to you. I sketched the mountains on just to give you a little peace of mind to know we got this and you can do it. The other things you'll find included in your packet are a paintbrush, a paper plate, and 5 different colors of paint. Now I want to let you know some things that you're going to need to gather from around your house before we get started. First and foremost, you're going to need a cup with water. Paper towels. If you're messy like me, I would bring a bunch just in case. If you want to lay something out on your table or on the floor, I don't know if you're working with an upright easel like I am, or you can just lay it out on the table with a towel underneath it. The important part I want you to know is that if you get messy like me, or if you might have an accident today with your paints, our paints are acrylic paints, which means they're awesome, they're permanent, and they're going to dry quickly. That means if you get any on your clothes, on your carpet, on your fur baby, you might want to go scrub with soap and water immediately and hope for the best. Again, they are permanent, so I'm hoping that you've set yourself up for success to not make a mess anywhere but on your canvas. With that, I have something special for you included in this packet today. Not only will you find the written out lesson plan in case you need to read over some steps, but I've also included a code for you that if you want to spend 10 to 15 minutes with me talking over your painting when you're all finished, or even if you get stuck on a step, you say, Heather, I just don't like my moon. I'm willing to meet with you digitally to talk over your painting and help you with any steps you need help with. All you have to do is email me at teacherheatherabreu, and in the subject bar of your email, write the code GOODHUMAN. We'll then be in contact, talk about what you need, and set up a date and time where we can meet for a few minutes and help you feel more successful if you need it. Of course, I'd also love to just say hi. With that, I wanted to tell you the rules of painting. Oh no, there's rules. Yes, they're more like guidelines, but they're to make you feel at ease while you're at home. First thing I want you to do is think about some music. If you've got music set up for yourself that you really love and enjoy, pump it up while you're watching the video to help put yourself at ease. I've got 5 rules to walk you through right now. The first one is be kind to yourself. If this is something new or you haven't painted since kindergarten, we're just going to have some fun art, not some fine art today. So please be kind to yourself. Rule number 2 is sometimes we're going to take a break. I want you to keep in mind that sometimes we need to take a break to let the layers dry. Other times, if you need to take a pause, go to the bathroom, play with your fur babies, get a drink of water. The nice part about this too is you can pause me and then come back. So please take a break when you need to. The third rule is kind of difficult. It's called the 75% rule. When I'm painting and I'm about 75% satisfied with the step that I just did, I'm going to stop, put my paintbrush down, and move on to the next thing. It's when I say to myself, oh man, I could get that to 85%, 90%. I could do it just a little better. It's when I'm going to mess it up and be really dissatisfied with what I just did and have to start that step all over. So please, 75% satisfied, we're moving to the next thing. Our fourth rule is really important. It's called no 4-letter words while we're painting today. The 4-letter words I'm talking about are can't, quit, and ugly. If you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, think about it like this. I'm working on it. I'm making it happen. Instead of focusing on the parts that you think are ugly, let's focus on the parts that you love and then come back to those a little later. to fix those pieces that you're like, this could be better. And last but not least, please don't quit. If you're getting frustrated, again, take a puppy break, take a kitty snuggle, and then come back. Instead of quitting, let's just think about it as we're playing with paint today, and we're gonna make a mess, not too big of a mess, and have some fun. If we're about ready to get started, I hope you have everything that you need. I'm gonna grab my paintbrush, and we're gonna start working on the sky first. I've got my paintbrush, and I wanna make sure you know, we are barely ever going to rinse the sky. The moment you get water in your paintbrush, your paints start to get murky and muddy, so we're gonna be working with mostly a dry paintbrush. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up our lovely paints and get started with a little bit of blue and a little bit of black. Here comes the fun part. Don't be shy, dip on in there, and we are just gonna cover the top of our canvas with blue. As you notice, the more paint you apply, the less white you see. So if you're hearing a scratchy noise coming from your brush, that means you need more paint. If you see some of those little white streaks coming through, that's your paintbrush saying, I need more paint. You guys, when in doubt, just use all the paint that you have. It's okay, I gave you plenty, okay? So again, we're gonna fill up the entire sky. Now, I am not afraid of losing my mountains because I know where they go. If you're gonna be a little more ginger and a little more gentle, making sure not to cover up the mountain lines, you're fine. But we are trying to move quickly. If you're afraid that I'm rushing you, it's kind of because I am, because I don't want this to dry yet before we can get the black on there. So, have some fun with me, just slapping the paint on there. If you are painting with friends or family, see who can get done first. They win a cheers, a drink, or a snack, because they're done before you. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is we're going all the way down to the pencil line with our blue, but we also need to get the outer frame of our canvas. This is a stretched canvas, and what that means is it's a piece of fabric that's wrapped around some pieces of wood. So, I'm going to take my paint and make sure I can get the very, very top of my canvas, as well as the sides and the bottom. Right now we don't need any blue on the bottom. We'll get that with our mountain color. I want you to know that this is very fancy. You won't even have to take this to the frame store when you're all done with it, because we are doing something called a gallery wrap. And a gallery wrap is when an artist takes paint all the way around the edges so that there is nothing left but just the scene you're painting. All right, we're seeing some little streakies of white from me. Easiest way to get rid of those is just pull your paintbrush all the way across the canvas. If you're concerned about your streakies, it just means to pull gently all the way across. Now, I am not cleaning my paintbrush, you guys. I am keeping it dirty and blue. And I'm gonna dip into some black and we're gonna start creating that night sky. Are you ready? I'm just gonna start pulling this through. Now, some of you might like a lighter night sky, and some of you might like darker. So depending on that, as you're painting, just look and decide that's nice and dark, that's too dark, whatever you need. And we gotta make sure to wrap that black around the edges too as best you can. We don't want it to be bright blue around the edges. Bringing some black down near the mountains, around my edging. Now here's the part where you could have some fun and do it a little differently. If you wanted it to be a little swirly, you could be in here making swirlies with your brush. If you look at this and you go, oh Heather, this is too dark. I put too much black. Guess what you gotta do? Just dip that dirty brush back into some more blue and add some more blue streaks through it. I am liking this. All right, again, I've got some little patches coming through, and I'm just gonna very gently pull across so that I don't have any more white shining through. We want a deep night sky. So I'll pull it through a little more gingerly and gently. The harder you push, the more you're pulling all the paint across the canvas as well. All right. I am feeling good about this night sky. I hope you guys are too. Again, if I'm going too fast for you, feel free to pause, and then we'll move on to the next step when you are ready. But I've got my night sky ready to go. The next step we have is stars. I told you we'd never rinse our brush, but we are going to rinse our brush today, and here's what we're going to do it for. We do not want black and blue in these beautiful stars, so I'm going to take it, and I'm going to paint the bottom of my cup probably about a dozen times. My water's going to look yucky, but that means my brush is going to be nice and shiny. Please remember, we're not plunging our brush, because that's going to ruin the bristles. After about 12 to 20 swooshes, I'm gonna bring it over here and squeeze it out into the paper towel. As I'm doing that, I'm checking to see if most of the paint is out. If you look and see, I've got a nice dirty paper towel and a nice clean brush. Next thing we're gonna do is magic. I'm gonna show you something. With your white paint, we included an extra cup for you. We're gonna make some sloshy stars. And when I say sloshy stars, it means we're gonna water down our paint just a little bit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take some white paint, just a nice slap of it, and put it in the bottom of that cup. I'm then gonna grab some water and just start adding water. If you're worried about your water being a different color, it really is okay because that white paint is gonna take over. I'm gonna then just squeeze out the extra juices from my paintbrush, and we are ready to get started with some sloshy stars. Are you ready? I'm gonna dip my paintbrush, tap it off, and now this technique is very crazy and very fun. I'm gonna use my opposite hand, so I'm left-handed, I'm using my right, to tap the paintbrush against my hand to splatter some stars. This is messy. If you're working on this at home and you want to do it outside, my suggestion would be watch me first and then go outside. Some of these are going to be big clusters, others are going to drip, some of these are going to be beautiful tiny stars. And when you feel like you've got it the way you want it, fantastic. If you don't have it the way you want it, dip back in and do some more. Again, just a little bit more. There we go, getting some big blobs. Now the thing I love about doing it this way is I'm not thinking about it, I'm just playing and having fun. The next thing I'm gonna do is again dry off my paintbrush, and if there are any ones that are drippy, I'm gonna go through and we're gonna make them kind of swirly constellations. I have a very dry brush right now, and I'm just literally gonna come through here and kind of pat them together with the color that's behind them. And I'm moving my paintbrush, I want you to notice the angle of my brush so that they're not all the same way. So I've got a cluster there, definitely Mr. Drippy over here needs to go away. Mixing that in, pulling it away. I'm feeling pretty happy about that, but just for good measure, because I've got two, I think I might come through here and just create a little bit as well. Now, if you didn't get any smudges, if you love the way that your spackles came out, leave it. Just leave it the way that it is. Now with that, I still don't feel like I have a great focus in the night sky. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use the back of my brush. I'm going to dip it into the white paint. And I'm going to use this as some bigger focus stars. So just creating those different spots throughout the nighttime sky. I want you to notice when you first dip it, it's going to be a really, really, really big star. And the more you continue to touch it to the canvas, the smaller they get. So that's something to think about, is where to place your big ones and where to place your smaller ones. One other really fun technique I want to show you is how to create a shooting star. We're going to do the same thing. Dip it right here. We're going to place it where you want it. And then after you've placed it, we're going to take it and just pull away. Again, place it where you want it and then just pull away. I feel good about those. Awesome. So again, spackle stars, constellations with the dry brush, or some shooting stars, or some big, big stars using the back of your paintbrush. Now with that, before this dries, because my background is just beginning to dry, I'm going to place my dry brush where I want my moon to be. And all we're going to do is create a shadow. So I'm going to pick a spot probably right above my two peaks, and I'm just going to start to swirl that around in a circle to create the shadow of where my moon's going to land. That way I've already got it planned out, there's no confusion there. Alright, you beautiful humans, I have dried off my brush. I did not rinse it. I have just been pulling all that extra paint out because we're going to move on to our Purple Mountains Majesty. We're going to need a little bit of purple to go in the background of our mountains to make sure that that red is really bright and vibrant once we get it on it. So we're going to open up our red. And here's what your paper plate is for. We're going to grab it and dump it. Grab it and dump it. We're making a good amount of purple. And the same thing with the blue. The nice part is you make a messier blue, it doesn't matter. We've already used it up today. We do need our red to stay fresh because we're going to be using our red again in a little bit. And I'm just going to mix it around, making a nice deep purple. Ooh, I like it. All right, and I'm going to use this purple as our background color for our mountains. So I'm going to start at the top and just pull down and fill in that space, making sure that there is no white space between the blue sky and the purple mountains. And don't forget, we're wrapping. We're doing that gallery wrap. So again, base coat on the next mountain, pulling it down as we go. If the color purple is different for each one, it really is okay. We just need that base coat in the background to help make sure that there's no white hiding, peeking out between our sky and our mountains. And again, so that red that we use is just going to be so bright and crisp and vibrant. Moving on through. Uh-oh, I dripped. Guess what? It's okay. We're making a mess. We're having some fun. That is what matters. If you notice that you kind of run out of purple, feel free to mix some more. Again, I should have included quite enough paint for you guys. With that idea, however, don't get your red dirty. We're going to try our best to keep our red from mixing in with the blue anywhere other than on our plate. Getting that corner nice and good. Now, I'm looking and checking to make sure I don't have any white really sticking out and that I've covered all of the top of the mountains. I've got the first layer going, right? I've left the bottom mountains open because here's what I can do. The front mountains can be a little lighter, and I'm just going to drop a little dot of white. Boop! Into this madness. Mix it around. And this is going to help give us some depth by showing that these mountains are closer to us than the other ones. So again, now I'm coming through. Just a little bit of a lighter purple. Having some fun covering up all those little white spots of that canvas bleeding through. At this point, I hope you're not tired of hearing my voice. I also hope you're enjoying your tunes, whatever those might be. If you need some suggestions, look up one-hit wonders on any of your streaming devices and you won't be disappointed, I promise. It's something that I usually use for all age ranges when I teach classes. And most of the time, everyone's singing and bobbing their heads along while we're painting. All right, last but not least, getting this corner of our mountain range. Making sure I get all of the edging along the sides. And I'm going to require you to have a little bit of fun right after we're done with this step. It's going to be called a dry break. So once we get all the purple that we need on here, we're going to take a dry break. There's one more thing I had to show you today. I don't know if you knew you were going to have to do this today or not, but did you know you're going to have to learn to paint upside down today? We did a gallery wrap on the sides, on the top, but now we have to do one on the bottom. So you ready to paint upside down with me? Flip it over. If you're working on the table, all you have to do is turn this side to face you. Taking that little bit of extra purple I've got on the bottom, and just going to town all the way across, making sure there's no white in the canvas shining through anymore. Lovely little base coat. And we're ready for a dry break, my friends. So my people, the next step is after we've done with our dry break, I hope that you actually did pause and let it dry because we cannot do the next step if your paint is still wet. We're going to move on to adding the red to our mountains, but first I think we're going to have fun creating a little bit of a moon. Now, if you are very nervous about making circles, much like everyone is, I'm going to use the top of the cap to paint on some white paint and create a guide for me as to where my moon is going to land. Now, you can paint a moon, you can paint a Death Star, a crescent moon, it's up to you. But today what I'm going to do is grab some white paint and then just fill in this section right here as a little template for myself. Take it, place it where I want it, push it just a little bit, and now I've got a guideline that's pretty nice and pretty circular for myself. And then I'm going to dip into the white paint again, and I'm just going to very gently use the side of my brush to pull the point, and pull the point, And then as you go, you can start to fill in and create the type of moon that you want. Now, I am turning the brush as I go, and I am very gently just pulling the paint along with me to fill in very slowly to make that kind of shape that I want. Now, if you're going for more Van Gogh and you just want to get in there and swirl around, have some fun with it. The fun part about this is we're going to add a few more layers to the moon in just a little bit. But for right now, we're going to take our brush, wipe it out in the paper towel, get rid of as much white as we can, and dip into some red. This red is so bright and fun, and I'm excited to hit the back mountains first, just like we did. So I'm going to come along here. I'm going to just start to fill in. And the way I do it with this one is instead of pulling it down like we were doing, I'm just going to start to blob it on. That's a very technical term, blob. As we go through to give a little bit of the purple to bleed through, but also start to add some texture. Our mountains are not going to be these beautiful smooth things. They're going to be large and majestic and rather texture filled. So again, blobbing that red on there. Don't forget to do the same for your gallery wrap around the sides. Once I've got the first mountain, moving on to the next one and filling in as we go. I am overlapping all of the purple lines that I have just to make sure that that shadow is in fact covered up. If you're working on the table, it might actually be easier for you to work upside down by flipping the canvas over again to have the mountains closest to you. But it is up to you. You work at your own pace. If you want to keep working while I am, fantastic. If you want to just watch me a little bit more, to feel a little more confident about what you're going to be doing, but I'm going to say be generous with the paint. Whenever you get started, be generous. I gave you plenty of red, so just get it on there. And as we go through, I'm kind of getting the top line, making sure all the purple is covered, and then coming on down and filling in to where the other mountains meet up with our top line. Now, if you're saying in your head, Heather, this is so bright, I don't know that I want my mountains to be this stark and this bright. Please don't worry, we've got 3 more layers to add that are going to really help us to round out the color palette of our mountains, as well as just create that general texture that we're looking for. But I want to make sure that I show you what it looks like when we've got the top portion of our mountains finished. So again, just nice blobby paint over. You see a little bit of the purple, but not too much. I'm going to start the same thing down here, but in order to make them look a little different, I'm going to actually pull the paint to show where the texture difference is for the mountains in front and the mountains behind. The reason why I'm doing this is, again, to help you be able to differentiate and see where the different mountains still are. So again, pulling down, filling in. A little bit of purple shining through is great, not too much. And then I'm going to come this direction, filling in here, just creating those peaks that are in the front. If you see a little bit of a line of purple behind the first set of mountains that are in the foreground, that is totally fine. The most important thing is that we're getting our secondary color covering all of the base color, which was the purple. Now, if you're not feeling red and you want to do a different color for your mountains, again, this is your world, you paint it your way. I'm going to fill in with red. I'm going to do what I had planned. If you do something different and you love it, fantastic. If you do something different and you want to keep working on it because you don't really feel it, that's fine. Let that coat dry and then come back to it once it's dry and paint over it. And of course, we cannot forget that you have a new skill in your toolbox now. You know how to paint upside down. So I'm going to flip it one more time. I'm trying to make sure that I don't get any of the red on my easel onto my beautiful night sky. And then just do a quick wash of red across the top, which was your bottom of your canvas, to make sure that it's nice and coated. Aha, I missed some spots. Here we go. Getting the red on the corners of this side too. Now, we don't actually have to take a pause to let it dry, but I'm excited because we have a friend in the room right now, so I want to introduce you to them. Do we know the name of this little friend?
He has not been named yet.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to name him?
No, I want someone else to name him because they get to take this adorableness home. Hi.
He's
Oh,
a
you're
little
purring.
wild.
He's a wild child. I don't know if you want to call him that when you take him home. Yes, that's
He's
my
a little
face.
baker. He's making biscuits.
Oh, are you making biscuits? I love that you're purring. You are just so comfortable right now. Hi, what's up? Hi, are you going to look over there? Say hi, people. I want to go home with you. Let's paint together. Do you want to paint with me? You're trying to paint. I see you with those paws. You're so sweet. Oh my goodness. So what were we doing? Oh, we were painting. That's right. I should probably get back to that, huh, little nugget?
Come on.
Bye, Nugget. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, all the adorable pet names for that one. I get to hang out with cats right now. It's so fun. So, I've painted the edges, making sure I got those all nice and red. The next step we're going to take is we're actually going to start to add some highlight and some shadow to our mountains. This is going to make sure that the back mountains really stand out in the mid-ground, and our foreground stands out as well. This is the one time where I'm going to tell you that it's okay to rinse your brush. You haven't had to rinse your brush yet. I'm hoping that when you let things dry, that you would be able to rinse your brush and then come back to it. But we're going to go ahead and one more time rinse our brush. And then we're going to jump into some highlights and lowlights together. Again, rinsey, mucky water means clean brush. And pulling all of that fantastic red out of the brush so that it's nice and dry. My brush is all nice and clean, nice and dry, no extra drippy happening. And we're going to jump in with some fresh white right now. Now, the white's going to be really fun because it's going to highlight where our moon is in the sky and where the moonlight is going to be hitting all of our mountains. So since the moon's hanging out on the left-hand side of these guys, we're going to add some highlight coming through this section. This is called a dry brush technique, which means I don't want a lot of paint in my brush and I need to make sure it's dry. I'm going to wipe off this little extra, so if you're looking and you're seeing that it's just a tad bit of paint in the brush, and I'm going to come through here and just start to pull away. I want you to notice I'm picking up red as I go, so I'm going to then turn the brush over and create some other streaks here as well. I've got red going on. That means I can't do my white highlights, so paper towel is going to be your best friend. Pull out all that extra color, being ready for the next mountain to create a highlight. Again, dabbing it in. You could even use your paper towel if you wanted to get some of that extra paint off. And then coming through and just pulling away. When you notice you're picking up red, turn the brush over and start to use that side. Now, if it starts to blend and look a little pink, that's okay. Again, we're playing with paint right now and creating that beautiful moonlight that's hitting it. Again, pulling it out of the paintbrush, going back to the white, wiping off the excess because we do not want too much paint in our brush for this, and then hitting those spots where you notice that there's going to be moonlight shining off of it. And the fun part about this is wherever we have moonlight, we're not going to have shadow, right? So shadow's actually going to be on the opposite side. I'm going to come through here just a little bit, get some moonlight on these bottom guys, a little bit right here, a little bit here, and here. Again, I did that fast. I know, it's just because I'm playing with paint. It's not because I'm being really technical with you guys, okay? So I've got some of those highlights happening. Again, pulling out all of that red and all of that white. We're gonna hit some shadow. And what we're gonna do with the shadow is the same thing at the top, and then a little different as we move into creating some texture underneath and on the bottom. So again, I'm gonna show you just very gently pulling at the top wherever there is not moonlight, so it's creating those other side of the mountain, kind of like the dark side of the moon, so to speak. Pulling that through the red. The red is still not quite dry, so we're having a good time just kind of creating those sections, right? If something that you create, just you go, Heather, that's way too dark, it's okay. Let it dry. We'll cover it up with some more red in just a little bit. So again, pulling through, creating those peaks. All right, you ready for this? Now we're going to get a little bit of black. I'm not concerned that there's red in my black right now. A little bit bit of black, and we're gonna, instead of using the long way of the brush, we're gonna use the skinny way of the brush. This brush is amazing because you can do two things. You can create long lines that are thick, or you can create long lines that are thin. We're gonna be using the thin brush today. As I make a mess and wipe it on my apron, I'm gonna grab some more black and come on through. Again, it's a dry brush technique, so I don't have a lot of paint in my brush right now. And I'm gonna start to just kind of pull through each of the mountains to create some texture. I'm pulling down at a diagonal, kind of the way that the red rocks move to create those different pieces of texture. Now in here, for the second mountains, those mountains in the midground or in the background, I'm actually going to start to create a shadow here that shows where it tucks behind. And then creating some more just texture. Ooh, that's fun. Again, I'm just playing, you guys. So there's some extra globs of red right here. Just having some fun grabbing those up and pulling them through. If you start to notice that your paintbrush is pulling more paint off of your canvas than adding, just go back to your paint, grab some more. Again, not too much, but we want to create just some fun bits of texture going on here. All right, some rocks happening. I didn't get this side of here, so I'm gonna pull, ooh, I like that. Again, there's a lot of red over here that's not quite dry yet, so I'm just having some fun with that. So I kind of switched from using the long line to using the full brush as I pull through. Now, if you find a spot that you go, Heather, that's ugly, please don't call it ugly. We're working on that area, okay? We're gonna focus on the parts that you love. So look at your painting right now and decide, oh, I really love this part and I'm not gonna touch it. 75% rule. I'm really happy with my moon and this cliff area right here. But you know what I'm not so satisfied with? Is these really, really dark lines that I created. They're almost like tiger stripes, right? So I'm gonna dip my very dirty brush back into the red, and I'm just gonna come through and have some fun. Again, there's red and black mingling in here, and I'm just gonna kind of start breaking up those areas that I think are just too stark. You can do a bunch of different things. Again, I'm bouncing with the tip of my brush. You can bounce with the edge of your brush, or you can pull red streaks through too. It is up to you. I just want you to have some fun with paint right now. Again, we're not painting. Did I tell you we were painting mountains? What I actually meant is that we're implying mountains with paint. We're just playing with paint, you guys. As we pull it on through, just add a little bit more red in areas where I am not satisfied yet. Feeling good about this section right here. All right, now we've got our highlights, we've got our shadow, we've got some more texture. We've added a bit more color wherever you were just like, Heather, I don't like this part. It's not my favorite. Last thing we're gonna do is rinse our brush one more time because we're gonna move on to that little bitty color that I added for you in your kit, that yellow. So again, swirling around. Please do not drink the paint water. It will not hurt you, I promise. It's non-toxic, but it doesn't taste very good. Enjoy something else right now. I hope you have your favorite beverage with you. And as I am cleaning this off, I'm gonna grab another paper towel. The amount of paper towels I've used today is very sad. Otherwise it would be all over my clothes, so I'm very thankful to have them. And once this is nice and dry, I'm gonna dip into our yellow. Popping that open. I gave you such little yellow, and it's because we don't need a lot of it, you guys. So I've dipped in just the tip of the paintbrush, and now I'm gonna kind of pull it along the side to just, again, we're gonna do that dry brush technique. And I'm gonna come through here and just add a little bit of yellow to my moon. Swirl it around in there over the white. Make it stand out just a little bit more than the stars, right? If you wanna go crazy and you're gonna splatter some yellow, all you have to do is add some water to this and splatter it across the sky too if you're interested. It's totally up to you. Adding some more yellow to kind of the corner of that. And now I'm gonna take this yellow through and I'm gonna create a little bit more texture on top of everything else that I did. So pulling it across my white sections. Again, dry brush, so don't need a whole lot. Pulling it across the peaks that are in the front to just kind of help give some more definition. I would say I'm really focusing on putting a little more yellow towards the front than I am towards the back to really just help to kind to define where these mountain peaks are down below. Again, streak it on there. If you want a little bit of yellow, I would say just touch the tops. If you're like me and you want a whole lot of contrast, have some fun getting in here. You can blob the yellow on, pull it across. The white will really make it stand out. That white is almost acting like the base coat for us. There we go. Ooh, streaky fun. I like it. Adding a little bit more to the top here. I think I want some to come down this way. Really help that peak to kind of stand out a little bit. All right, my friends. I'm feeling pretty good about this. If you're looking at it and going, Heather, this one area is just really bugging me. I've told you what to do. Just go ahead and reach out and contact me. Your paint will dry. You still might not like that area. Come tomorrow morning. Shoot me an email and we'll work together to fix that one area that you're just like, I need some help with it. But as of right now, I'm feeling really good about what I just created. This is only like the third time that I've painted this, you guys. So I've had some fun creating this for you. If you really want to make sure to get some yellow on your edging too. Just a little bit of yellow around the sides. Woo! Alright, I am feeling so good about this, and I hope you are too. I hope you had a blast painting with me today. Again, thank you so much for supporting Foothills Animal Shelter for their 10th anniversary. You are such good humans, and I hope I get to paint with you again next time.